Hello and welcome to Mountain Bike Britain, the UK's newest mountain bike programme. Over the next 6 weeks, we'll bring you all the top action from the RAV4 Mountain Bike Series and National Championships.
Organised by the British Cycling Federation, the RAV4 Mountain Bike Series is the UK's premier event, and the action is going to be fast and furious.
And in addition to all this top action, we'll talk to some of the sport's hottest competitors and characters and get some of the gossip from behind the scenes.
Coming up in the first programme, we'll be chilling with the top UK downhiller, Sheffield's Steve Peat.
I want to be an alcoholic.
We'll take a look at full-on downhill equipment.
If you really want to go fast downhill, you need a bike that rocks. And we've got all the action from the men and women's Pro Elite class in round one of the RAV4 Downhill Series. Nantmawr Quarry is 20 miles from the city of Shrewsbury in Shropshire. Now, this is a gift graciously left to us by the mining industry. It's a mud hole of epic proportions. The owners have converted it to mountain biking mecca. The riders have come from far and wide to ride in this playground of downhill, cross-country and BMX courses.
Round one of the RAV4 Downhill Mountain Bike Series is here at Nantmawr Quarry. We've got most of Britain's top downhill talent here to shake off the cobwebs after the winter hibernation. Among the great riders we got here this weekend is the phenomenal GT rider Steve Peat, and we'll be hearing from him a little bit later on. Steve started this season ranked 8th in the world, but after his recent win in America, he could well end up the season in the world's top 3.
Also with us this weekend is Matt Farmer. Now, Matt is last year's and this year's downhill student champion, and he's had a lot to do with the design of this course.
And we got Tim Ponting, who, despite his soft-spoken image, is an absolute animal on the bike. I don't just say that because he rides for Team Animal PlayStation. Remember, Tim won the British National Point Series last year.
The competition this year is really strong.
We're always trying to beat one another.
And Downhill's got a lot bigger.
It's nice to be with your friends.
And it's always good to ride in England.
Just becoming so popular with the people.
The women's field is equally competitive at Nantmawr. For one, we've got last year's national champion, Karen van Meerbeek. The Northern lass Karen, she's got a new bike. She loves racing in the rain and the mud, so Nantmawr should suit her down to the ground.
Karen's big rival is the young, cheeky Tracy Mosley, who won the National Point Series last year, as well as taking a silver medal at the World Championships. So many people believe she's England's hottest emerging talent.
Our Scottish champion is Emma Guy. She'll also be a strong contender for victory. On the day, if Emma puts things together, she can beat all of them. But being consistent is going to be her challenge.
I've been training hard through the winter.
I feel right on for it this year.
I enjoy my cycling a lot more over the winter.
You always want to do well at home.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, give me a shout when I go past.
Now, despite breaking her arm, Kerry Basin will still ride today.
Broken arm. Nicely strapped up here.
Missing at this event will also be top rider Helen Mortimer.
I was in a car accident last weekend, so unfortunately I had a bit of a neck injury, so I'm out for this weekend, but I'll be back for the next round at Cheddar.
And we're also missing wildman Rob Warner. Now, Rob rides for Team Giant and started this season ranked 6th in the world, but where is he today?
He's meant to be here, but I don't know where he's gone.
I don't think Rob liked the track very much.
He was here the other day.
So I don't blame him really.
Well, a no-show for Rob Warner, so let's go and speak to Steve Peat.
My friend at school, I borrowed his bike one day. I had it in first gear and I was just spinning around really fast, and I just enjoyed it loads. So after that I saved all my money, went and bought my own bike. I rode casual for like a year, just going out weekends with my friends, went on a night ride, and then that club organised a race. So I entered that race and won like the first race. So I just carried on going from that. I was an apprentice plumber when I left school. In '95, I got a pro deal offered to me from a sponsor, go do all international circuit, get paid for it. So that was it, sack work. I want to win everything that I ride. I do have to work on it a lot, train hard, I'm strong. My technical ability is just good. I just want to win everything now, so my competitive edge is really strong. For the winter, I moved out to America, and out there I just got a more professional outlook on everything, and all people that I know there, real professional, I got away from like Sheffield for a while, which is where I've grown up and where all my friends are, and it's hard for me when I'm in Sheffield not to go out and socialise, if you like to say. Yeah, I was just out there and just got into my training, knuckled down and did what I had to do. This year I've had a couple of like top 10s. After dislocating my hip, I missed the first round, a couple of top 10s, and then the Washington round in Seattle, I went out and won. So a lot of people said it's been coming for a couple of years, and it was unreal. It was excellent. I choked up a couple of times, and there were a lot of Brits out there, stood on top of the podium, and they played national anthem. Hand on heart, I was just pleased, did it for England. It was cool. Like everyone says, when you win a Grundig, it lifts you up and you just ride at another level, and I'm on that level now, ready to go for it, feel good about it. One day I want to be old, fat, alcoholic, sat on my deck, drinking martinis, retired. Yeah, that's the plan.
Well, the summer weather here at Nantmawr has been, in a word, English. First it rained, then it cleared up, then it rained again, and now, well, it's snowing.
This course is pretty windy.
It's quite slippery in places.
Wet.
It's all slushy up there.
Slippy.
It's really pedally.
Muddy.
It's pretty quick.
Rooty.
Bit of a power course.
Pretty horrible out there.
It's getting faster.
It don't faze me at all.
Let's see what happens.
Doesn't faze me at all. Pretty confident, Steve Pete. Now, here's a nice little map of the course. Roger, let's see what we've got in store.
Yeah, Roy, well, this course drops about 400 metres and it's going to take riders about 2 minutes to complete. And I tell you, anyone who gets near the 2 minute mark will be an absolute legend. Let's have a look at the head cam view. Look at that.
Yeah, fast off the blocks, then we come into a fast sweeping left-hand bend. Look at the amount of water on the course. That's going to be treacherous for the brakes. And then the first really exciting point, a big jump coming up. Check out the shadow. Here we go, the runway. Yeah! Massive jump, that one. Riders going flat out into a set of berms now. The berms used to slow the riders down as they sharp left 90 degrees, and then again as we head into a very tight wooded section.
Yeah, this is one of the most technical sections on the whole course, actually. It's really tight down there, and then some really nasty little sections to keep the riders on their toes. Now we drop down to where the spectator is all waiting for you on the road crossing, and look, he's getting a bit confident there, but he wants to watch out because this is a really tight little section. As you can see, look how slow he's going. This, I think, is actually going to be the crux of the course.
Yeah, but things speed up towards the finish, Roger, because it's a fast blast down to the finish line. Riders having to use every bit of their athletic skill now, maxing out on the pedals, hitting about 40 miles an hour through these narrow gates, and they just got to go for every inch, every second to the finish. Now we're getting our boots muddy. So far, Roger, we've seen some amazing racing here today, despite the slippery conditions. The sun's come out and we've seen riders going faster and faster, beating each other's times. Now remember, each rider only gets one race down the hill. That's the competition rules. So they have to put it all together on that one run. Everybody's had the day before to study the course and they should have picked their lines, but especially when it's muddy like this, anything can happen.
Oh, and now check this ride out from Andrew Titley, Rory. Oh, Andrew, mind your grapes. I think he'll be signing on as Andrea Titley at the next event.
Well, we've seen some fast times as well. Here comes Marcus Scott from the Aberdeen Bike Body. He scorched a time of 2 minutes, 6.67 seconds, taking the lead from the pack momentarily, that is, because then we saw Robin Rumbelow, who shaved 42 hundredths of a second off his time to go into the lead.
We also expected big things from X-Light's Andy Pope on his outrageous new bike, but as you can see, he was getting a little bit stuck in the mud. Now, Steve Gill at Team Giant was another disappointment. He was seeded in third place, but his time was only 2 minutes and 8.01 seconds at the end of his run, leaving him languishing far from the top 10 and short of expectations.
Well, languishing not was our course designer and student champion, Team Rally's Matt Farmer. Now, he went into the lead with a time of 2 minutes, 4.94, but his victory was quickly extinguished by this man, Ed Mosley, who beat him by a mere 500ths of a second. But then Ed's time was in turn beaten by Scott Beaumont from Team Kona, who was then in turn beaten by Mark Davis. It's all a bit like War of the Roses, really, isn't it? I mean, Henry V killed Hotspur, killed Harry III, who stabbed Hal.
What? The one ride we want to show you, though, is this one by Nigel. Who's that? Page. Now, Nigel's not a top-seeded rider. In fact, if you look at his riding style, he looks a bit raggedy on those corners, but don't let that deceive you. He's a top technician. He puts his feet out and looks a bit sketchy, but overall he's very fast. Now he comes from riding BMX, so he's extremely smooth on the bike, but I've never heard of him before, Rory, have you?
Well, I haven't either, but you might be watching the technique. Look at this time, though. It's incredible. And he's nearly at the end of the course, and he's got plenty of time in hand. Here he comes to the finish line, 2:02.97.
So Nigel Page, the unknown rider, comes from the back of the pack to throw down the gauntlet to the big guns.
Coming up in part 2, we've got cross-country action from Margam Park in South Wales.
We take a look at some full-on downhill machinery.
And we've got all the action from round 1 of the RAV4 Downhill Series.
Remember this, and that? Feel nostalgic? You do? Oh dear, it's time to make the cocoa. I said it's time to make the cocoa. Because we'll be honest, this will not interest you. We know what your cup of tea is. It's a cup of tea. And allotments, driving gloves, and his and hers matching coats, and rambling. Things confuse you. Music, technology, we'd like to explain. Honest, but what we're selling today is this, the Toyota RAV4, a four-wheel drive that handles like a GTI. Look at the press reviews. That's enough. You're never going to drive a RAV4, and if you are, you shouldn't be. Remember when you saw your parents dancing? Embarrassing. The RAV4 is a 2-litre 0 to 60 in 9.9 seconds off-roader. What are you going to do off-road? Go surfing? Forget it. That shouldn't be too difficult. Making you angry? Don't watch. Switch channels. Our intention is not to antagonize, annoy, upset. Okay, we lied, it is. We just want you to accept the RAV4 is not for you. You may now return to tearful reminiscing about the wireless, P-Supers, Pearl Car and Teddy Johnson. Thank you. The RAV4. The car in front of the car with a knitted steering wheel is a Toyota.
Welcome back. Coming up in this part of the programme, we're going to be looking at just what sort of a machine you need to go downhill fast.
We've got the climax of round 1 of the RAV4 Downhill Mountain Bike Series here at Nantmawr Quarry.
But first, let's have a look at some cross-country action.
Margam Park, South Wales, and all the top British riders are here to do battle.
The man they want to beat, Nick Craig, double defending national champion, 3 times consecutive series winner.
This is the first time I've raced for 2 months, so normally I would have raced a couple of times by now, but I decided to stay away training a bit longer, so I don't really know where I'm at. I hope it's sort of fun.
Well, the course is 4 miles long and riders go around a punishing 6 times. All told, it takes them about 2 hours to do it, and as you can see, getting a clean start is essential, isn't it, Rory?
That's right. Well, Nick Craig wanted to be in front, but he's not in the front on this start. He's kind of packed into a bunch of about 10 riders. But here we are into the race. Nick's now leading wearing that national champion's jersey, but he's got company up this climb from Paul Lazenby from Team Mercedes Marin.
Yeah, as they go down into the woods and down that descent, you can see Paul Lazenby now doing his share of the work, leads Nick through the river crossing before the final descent to the line, and as we can see, Paul Lazenby does what's necessary and crosses the line to be the first RAV4 cross-country winner.
In the women's race, it was Louise Robinson from Team Rally who was the hot favourite, but out on the course there was a lot of duking going on for silver and bronze medal positions. Now this is Isla Roundtree, teammate to Louise, currently in silver, but right behind her, Jenny Copnell, who did in fact overhaul her just before the finish. Meanwhile, up front, here's Louise taking victory. Right then, if you've been looking at mountain bikes for somewhere over the last 8 years, a lot of things you might have seen are pretty familiar. Triangulated frame, diamond shape, it hasn't changed for over 100 years now. 1 or 2 features creeping in though to make the cross-country bike a little bit more special. The additions like handlebar ends, allow you to get a good grip at the front of the bike, power up the hills. Also clipless pedals here. Riders can snap in, snap out, real easy, a bit like the ski binding thing. Maybe some front suspension, good shock absorption, more comfort. Pretty high technology creeping in now as standard on a lot of bikes. We've got triple chain sets, that means we've got 24 gears. Not so much the number, it's the range of gears that's important. Really, it's a kind of take you anywhere machine. And some of the downhill machines that are coming out now are just awesome. Come and have a look at this. This is a full-on downhill machine. This bike means business, very, very different technology. Lots going on here. Full travel, long suspension forks. We've got 6, maybe 8 inches of travel at the front end, really like a motorbike fork. Triple clamp design. This gives a very strong, very meaningful front end on the bike. At the top, control of the fork and the whole bike through some very wide handlebars, very stable. On the end of these bars, twist grip gear changes. Hydraulic brakes, have a look at this. Down here we go to the hydraulic brakes, which are disc brakes now. Look at this. Disc brakes, hydraulics operated on big fat through axle hub, 20mm axle, really solid, really stiff, real performance, specialist equipment. This is where the crux of the matter is. This is where all the action's happening, right here. Big linkage system, big aluminium plates linked into high technology coil and oil suspension and air suspension systems with tunable damping, the works. Gears is totally different. Here we've got single chainring now, not triple, with all these extra gizmos and devices here to keep the chain on. Pretty radical stuff. Riders using flat pedals, loads of grip. These things really stick to the bottom of your feet. At the back end here, massive wide rims, big fat tyres, lots of grip on these babies. Riders choosing tyres for every different condition. Tyre choice absolutely crucial. So the whole bike geared towards one thing, that's going downhill fast.
Meanwhile, we're back in the mud pit for the women's downhill competition.
It's flat and it's hard work.
It's not a long course. A lot of it's had to be sort of man-made. But it's good fun.
I like the wet.
And it's quite testing. The bogs, you know, it's going to push you physically.
If it rains, I like it even more.
You know, I'm from Scotland, I don't mind.
Well, all the women being pushed absolutely to the limit today because the course has started to dry out a little bit, and here's Emma Guy having to work the bike and use all of her skill to keep the speed high, just dabbing on the brakes around this berm. It was good time from Emma, but it wasn't good enough to beat this girl.
Tracy Mosley from Volvo Cannondale, she really is the young pretender. She took big chunks out of Emma Guy's time, and as you can see here, she's silky smooth through these sections. Just watch her come down through this river crossing, absolutely perfect, but was it good enough?
Well, I can tell you folks it wasn't, because here comes last year's national champion Karen van Meerbeek also flying through this section. I think she's left her water wings behind today, but this is her real strength. Onto the finishing straight, and Karen, the true professional, she really knows if she just tucks in now, puts her head down and buries herself for the line. It's only a matter of a few moments before she takes victory. Now the one they've all been waiting to hear, who gets on the podium? Emma Guy for Team Rally in third position today. Silver medal today, Tracy Mosley. Even number one spot, Karen van Meerbeek for Team Giant UK.
I like riding in the mud, and that's what we're used to in England, so.
Let's get straight back up to the top of the course then for live coverage of the last four men down the hill.
And here he is, the man to beat, Nigel Page, still leading the competition with a 2:02.97. Who's going to do it, Roger? Who's going to beat him?
I don't know, Rory. If anybody can, this man can. Young Will Longdon, riding for MB UK Specialised. He's one of our top riders. Out of the start gates he goes. Let's watch this man in action. Look how he's powering that bike. He really is an aggressive rider. Really works that bike for all it's worth.
Sliding that bike round the corner as well. Yeah, some would say that Will is possibly the fastest starter we've got in the country. Question is, he's got the speed at the bottom part of the course. Works it round this bend now. Looking good. He's quite a lightweight rider, Roger, and this might favour him over some of the sticky sections today.
Yeah, you can see he's a real flyweight when it comes to taking those turns. Let's see how he takes that bend. Oh, look at that berm. His front wheel nearly went straight over the top of it. Now he's coming down into the trickier section, into the woods. Breaking out now.
Heading down towards the crowd. Now the crowd are going to love this section because this is Will's speciality over the jumps. He's just adjusting his goggles there, look.
Yeah.
Bit of problem with the mud.
Maybe pulling off a...
no, it's a disaster. He's pulled his foot out of the pedal and obviously just not quite concentrating enough as he goes into that section. It's all the way to the line now, but time is ticking away, look. It's going to be outside Nigel Page's time by... Oh, yeah, look, it's gone already.
You can see the body language. He knows it's not going to cut it.
No, not good today. Will Longdon, 12th position. So who's left in the pile? Next man here, Stefan Gleed. Now, Stefan Gleed, former cross-country rider, actually, so he's got the power, he's got the stamina. He's also come on very well the last couple of seasons. We heard him saying earlier on he didn't have a good year last year. Maybe this one's going to go better for him.
Yeah, I feel the need for Gleed. Speedy Stefan Gleed, he can really fly, this guy. Want to watch him go down that first jump, nicely taken. Keeps it nice and low. They don't get an awful lot of air, these guys, because air time, of course, he loses seconds. Just nicely over those little humps and bumps, disappearing into the woods.
Crowd waiting expectantly for Stefan Gleed as he comes into the berm sections. Riders using some very different tyre choices today. Stefan using some monster front tyre there, but it seems to be working well for him. Then jumping into this section now. This is where Will Longer made the mistake. Let's see if he gets it right. Drops down towards the crowd.
Yeah, it's quite a crucial section this, where you break out onto the road and you're greeted with all the adoring fans. And look how nicely he goes into the washboard.
I thought
really
for a moment he was
well.
actually going off to the left there, but he pulled it back in, didn't he?
Yeah, kept it under control. Now this is where he's going to shine. He's going to hammer. He makes it look so easy. He's very, very fluid. But look at the time. It's a good time. It's a 2:01 or thereabouts he needs to beat. It's going to be close. Second position for Stefan Gleed. Good riding from
Nigel Page still leading, but second's good. It could be on the podium. What about Tim Ponting then? We've talked about Tim. He's riding board number 1. He's the fastest man last season. Here he is. He's off the blocks, not looking half as fast as Will Longdon, but we know he is Mr. Consistent. So he has to be consistent and he has to keep the power on down the bottom. That's what's going to do it for Tim today. Nigel Page still in the lead, amazingly so. And Tim Ponting, this is the man that Nigel's going to be biting his fingernails over right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see this as the main danger man. He's really a man who can pull it all together when it counts, coming into the berm section. Let's see how he takes this. It's quite a critical turn. He's looking actually as though he's a bit off the pace, but he's a very smooth rider and he doesn't give a lot away in his riding style, but he kind of looks to me as though he's flagging a little bit.
Sitting down a little bit, obviously just trying to gain some strength over those bumps, but he really wants to be standing up. Now he comes down to the difficult jump section here, past the big crowd. Is he going to ride this one smoothly? Oh, a big jump there. Now that's a very sketchy landing, so quite a risk to take, but he knows it's all or nothing. The time, 1:55. This is looking promising.
He's pedalling a big gear. You can really see him. He looks quite slow, but he's actually really pedalling a big gear to give him a lot of speed there.
Slipping away, just slipping away. Nigel Page still in the lead.
Just
Tim
outside.
Ponting in third position. So Tim Ponting could be knocked off the podium. That would be a revelation because Steve Peat here, Team GT, he's the man, isn't he, Roger?
Yeah, he's the only man now who can take it away from Nigel Page, and what a brilliant race that man's had. But look at this guy. We've got to watch this guy in action. This is the master at work. It has to be said, Rory, he is in a league of his own with maybe a couple of other riders worldwide. He really is absolutely one of the best mountain bikers in the world.
Sketchy Steve Peat riding very beautifully around that section. He just slides the bike. Nothing seems to derail this guy. Watch him in the berms as well. Push the bike hard round the corner there.
Nice. Look at his goggles.
Yeah, his goggles are down as well. All the riders seem to have trouble with the mud, but look at that as well. A different line from everybody else. High on the left there. So Steve once again writing the rule book in this race. The goggles causing some problems. The mud really all over the place, and he's losing grip on the bars.
Bit of a late adjustment as he goes into the washboard there. That could have been a bit sketchy. Look at the clock. Look at that though. He's got a great
time. 1:52. He's surely he's going to be inside the time. Nigel Page's victory possibly in danger here. 1:58, and he's still got a bit to go. Whoa, it's 2 minutes 2:01:29. That is the lead victory for Steve Peat.
What a result.
And onto the podium in third. Welcome for Team Marin, Stefan Gleed.
I had an absolutely terrible season last year. I'd absolutely flown the 2 years before that. I'm finally had a good hard winter of training. I've got it all together again.
Please welcome Nigel Page. Top ride by Nigel Page today.
I'm pretty pleased with that second. It's a good start to the season, like. Just have to see how it goes for the rest of the year now. Try and stay on my bike.
He is number one. Please welcome Steve Peat from Team GT. Well done, Mark, Tim, Stefan, Nigel and Steve Peat, champion today for Team GT. Well done.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I've not been on my bike for a while, so it's the first race back. I'm stoked to be wearing it.
Well, that's all from Nantmawr Quarry. Next week, we're talking a British national champion, Rob Warner.
If I'm really up for it, then I don't think many people in the world can beat me on the right course.
And we'll be going direct to Cheddar Gorge in Somerset for round 2 of the RAV4 Downhill Series. Be there!